Hello and welcome to another episode of Freaky Fettuccine. On tonight's episode, we've got a totally real hacker who totally knows what they're doing with a totally real story. And yet the title brings some doubt. Because Pokemon isn't real, right? I am what you might call a hacker. Not exactly that, but more of a game hacker. I create new games from other games, add some extra levels, put new stuff, post it on the web, put up a disclaimer, etc. The games I like to do this the most to is Pokemon games. And no doubt many of you read Creepypasta and know all about people posting stories that attempt to keep people awake at night out of fear and some work. But I'm certainly not losing any sleep over Bulbasaur Devourer. Next day, my dog. This, however, isn't a fake. Let me start from the beginning. I had just finished hacking Pokemon Blue and changed up a few things. It was just for fun, mind you, and I had no intention of ever thinking anything can backfire. It was after I finished a few tweaks that I noticed that I had hacked almost every Pokemon game except for one. Pokemon Leaf Green. Being that this was the last Pokemon hack I was going to make, because I am going to move on to bigger and better things, obviously. I wanted to make it special. My favorite Pokemon is Eevee, and I thought, why not make it the main character in the game? Despite what most think, it isn't that hard to change the storyline of a game. He's a real hacker, man, but, it really is. There are many programs that can help you do it. The storyline I made for Pokemon Leaf Green, however... Wait, my mistake. It is a special character. The storyline I made for Music Note! Mon Leaf Green, however, was Pokemon Apocalypse. Or, moreover, Pokepocalypse. I know, sounds morbid, but I am that kind of guy. Or used to be. It was supposed to be simple enough. I created another evolution for Eevee that involved a moonstone. I canceled out all other evolution it can make. From that point on, it couldn't become Jolteon, Flareon, etc. Hackerman. The Pokemon that I placed it to transform into was Dark Eevee. Before you start wondering, this is not a copy of Umbreon or anything like that. It was supposed to be a new type of Pokemon that I created. I also changed its moveset too. It was supposed to know only the move Curse, being that I was inspired by some pastas at the time, I admit. That wasn't how it went though. How it went was crashing. Because Hackerman doesn't know what he's talking about actually. After all was said and done, I plugged the ROM into the Visual Boy Advance on my computer and started playing. It started out normally. I was taken into the professor's lab soon enough. I also changed the starter Pokemon of the game, making Eevee the only Pokemon that can be chosen. Now that you can actually do, just use a Pokemon randomizer. Or, if you're a hacker man, change the ID of what Pokemon you're going for. Whatever. I don't care. It was after I took Eevee that the strange thing happened. Professor Oak began talking about depressing things I didn't program him to say, with my rival that I had named Sorrow. To the left of my player, Grief. But then, all of a sudden, the Eevee popped out of its ball. I didn't program it to do that. If any of you played Pokemon Yellow and had that Pikachu follow you, it was similar. Only, when I tried to talk to the Eevee, it only looked at me with a depressed glare. I was pretty unnerved by that, but later on, I thought nothing of it and pressed on. Once I battled my rival, who I must remind you, he named Sorrow, I noticed that its moveset wasn't what I programmed it to have either. Instead of just having Curse, it had 3 moves: Perish Song, Frustration, and Pain Split. Knowing what all the moves did, I used the move Frustration, being that it was the only attack move I had. Almost instantly, Sorrow's Charmander was taken down, with the caption, "It was a one-hit KO." Needless to say, I was shocked. And kind of excited. If I had a Pokemon that can do a one-hit KO, I can take on anybody. Maybe even the League, with just my Eevee. I took my Eevee to level 30, all the while it wouldn't learn any new moves. I didn't want it to learn any TMs or HMs, so I had to catch new Pokemon to use them. Finally, I happened upon to stumble a Moonstone. I finally had a chance to be able to get my Eevee to transform into a Dark Eevee. I selected Moonstone, then I clicked on my Eevee in the Pokemon team menu. But it seemed Eevee had different plans, and that's when things really went apeshit. At first, it showed a question mark when I tried to get it to transform. On the third try, I heard an Eevee cry, and the caption read, "Please don't make me transform. Don't you like the way I am?" Instantly, I was in shock. Again, I didn't program this to do that. But being the stupid bastard that I am, I tried one last time. It then showed the evolution screen with Eevee evolving. I felt bad, but then I shook it off. After all, Pokemon isn't real, right? Title drop! And poor grammar while you're at it. After Eevee evolved into Dark Eevee, I looked into the sprite and saw a few things that were off. It had dark fur with purple eyes and a white belly, as I designed, but that was the only thing that stayed the same. It now had a murderous expression on its face. There was red on its tail and ears, which I later realized was blood. But the most surprising thing was that it wanted to learn a new move. It was called Wormhole. I didn't know what this move did, and being that it only had 3 moves at the time, I didn't have to delete one to make room for it. So that would make it automatic, then. You don't have to say, it wants to learn blah 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 blah. You would know this if you hacked Pokemon, actually. But this story is real. I went into the grass to find some weak Pokemon to try it out on. God, I wish I hadn't done that. A level 26 Raticate came out of the grass. I could have sworn I saw fear in its expression, but I'm not sure. It all happened so fast I can barely make anything out. Without my command or anything, Dark Eevee used Wormhole. The screen then cut to black and wouldn't turn back on no matter how long I waited. So I closed the Visual Boy Advance and tried to calm myself down. This was freaking me the fuck out. It was then that I looked back at my monitor and started to shit bricks. Holy shit, I don't like the color black, it's spoopy. Dark Eevee was staring right up at me from my screen, blinking. Then a distorted cry came from the speakers. Captions appeared below the Pokemon, saying this: "What's wrong, Master? You created me. Isn't this what you want?" I'm losing my mind, which is why I am typing this so you can read it. You probably don't believe me. You may dismiss it as another pasta, just another story to scare people. After all, you may reason to yourself, Pokemon isn't real, right? Well, that depends on what you're asking. Pokemon, the video game series, is real, it exists, we can prove that. Pokemon are not real animals. This is not a real pasta, you fucking idiot. To continue where I left off... Oh sure, interrupt my snark. I see how it is. Dark Eevee was following me wherever I went. I saw it everywhere. The computer screen, my laptop, my Game Boy Color even froze when I turned it on and only showed Dark Eevee looking at me, blinking and talking, continually making sounds with that distorted cry. Even as I type this, it's staring at me through my television. I am pleading to you, reader, don't do what I did, just don't. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. No matter how skilled of a hacker man you may be, it's impossible to do what you did. Because you're full of shit.